I guess I can do it this way. Where's my computer? Okay, I need to go to H. Okay, I just had to find my drive. So I'm going to pick the drive where my card is. I'm going to say plus to make it continuous hoop, and then I get that number 1. If I have that like grayed out thing, like if I have it like this, I don't have a folder made. So I have to do the plus symbol, and it's going to give me this number 1. If I say plus again, it would give me like number 2, so I can categorize things, right?
So in order to use your continuous hoop, you have to have the smart media card. Is that right?
Or do you transfer to your machine through the cable?
Yeah.
Okay, you can do it. Just transfer through to the machine through your cable. I don't have my cable connected.
Okay.
But you can do it that way, but you're going to have to, what you'll see is it says continuous hoop, right? And it's going to put them in that continuous hoop folder.
Okay.
Okay, down here it just says, whatever, number 1. I'm going to give it a name. Pattern 1. Okay, and it's going to save it for me onto my card, or in your case, it would save it to the memory of the machine. Okay, now I want to go ahead and we'll just save this as continuous 1. Okay, I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go hunt down that pattern on my card, because I want to show you what it does. And see where that 3P is? And then, that 3P is going to be, trying to remember what format it puts these on. If it's DST, maybe. Hold on.
Is that where it is?
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to look on the card, because it actually creates a specific format. Wrong one.
You should just go down to all design files.
Yeah, but it makes a specific file. There's my EMD. I wonder why I wouldn't. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Oh, I hate when it will not do that. I'm used to just double-clicking and having it open, right? Okay, so we know it's EMD. Because it saves a bazillion different files.
She's rubbing that in my nose.
It's important to know what the design file is.
I mean, she's rubbing my nose in it. Jeez, I'm talking well this morning.
Okay, so, it won't, I didn't show it. What it does when it writes to your card is it makes these little V's automatically. And the V's look like this. They're just these stitches like this. They're real easy to pull out. So, and it makes them on both ends. So I'll just manually put them in so you see what they look like. It makes them on both ends. And it stitches, like one set at the beginning. And you know that that's where your border's going to start, right? So, like it would put it right, where your needle's supposed to line up. So then when you get to the end, it's going to place another V so that when you unclamp that hoop and move it, you can turn the hand wheel and put the needle right above the V right here. And you know that that's exactly where the border is supposed to start. And that's how you line up your borders. But it automatically does it. And to give you an idea of, like, see all these little files here? And then there's more over here. All of these files have to be read. And in that file somewhere is that code to put those markers in for you. So you'll have to play with that and, kind of see how that goes. See how it does it. But, take out your continuous hoop and, play with that. Oops, not the one I wanted to delete. Play with that a little bit and, see how that, what exactly that does. Because it really is just so easy to line up. Let me get rid of this little piece that's driving me crazy. Okay, it's really just very easy to line up. And just continuously make the border on a long, long, long run and have it accurate. Okay, so that's how you handle like the little borders. So now you've got your image, which I'll send to you since I know where this is. We'll go back over here and open it up. Okay, so you've got this image. I'm going to send it to you, or I'll put it on the website. And, practice making a couple of these and see what happens. Like, this was the one we played with. This is going to allow you to insert ribbon. This one will line up, different. This you could make to make, like an heirloom type of scallop edge, or this is going to be a straight run for ribbon, but you've got like this one's kind of fun, and it's really like, even though these seem really kind of simple, you can see on this one how hard that was to be symmetrical even following the image. So it's a good, like, these little patterns are good things to practice on. And, you'll find, like, if you remember when we went in.
I'm going to have so much homework for you this time that you just going to think, Nancy,
I'll be like stunned.
For you.
I'll be like, wow, go Nancy. But,
yes.
You can see, like, that's a good practice. We use the line tool, and if you look, these lines, let me zoom in real close. These lines are, they look like they're not on top of each other right now. But we're also zoomed in, I don't know even how high. It used to tell us, oh yeah, 1,500%, right? If you zoom in at 1,500% and you go all neurotic trying to adjust this, you'll lose your marbles.
Where'd you see that?
Down here, zoomed.
Where?
Bottom.
At the bottom.
Oh, there it is.
Let me
Jeez,
get
I can
my
barely
marker.
see it.
Wait,
Oh, God.
my marker. There it is.
Yeah, I can see it now.
I haven't used the markers yet. I had to use them. So,
Have to try.
if you zoom in this big, nothing is going to look very good, right? It's not going to look, don't zoom in, don't be ridiculous. You're at 1-to-1 here. Zoom in, around like a pattern that's reasonable. Go to your 3D view. You're not going to really notice that. You might want to adjust it. But, really when I look at that, I'm zoomed at 200 and some % right now. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to be okay. If you find that you're not, do a little test stitch, because my favorite saying, right? There are two kinds of embroiderers, and they are...
Those who
stitch.
There you go. See, I'm so proud of you. You have learned something after 2 years, right? I'm just teasing you guys. But, if you find that that bothers you, then adjust it, okay? But, if
I
you're
will
going to...
just have to figure it out.
You will. You'll do fine. Now, I'll send you this little pattern, too, in the ESX format. But, now we're not done yet, because we're only at 1:45. I want to show you a little bit about how to handle big borders, okay?
say hello to the girls.
Hello, girls.
Hey, Ray, how are you doing?
He said, "Hey, Ray, how you doing?" I think I woke him up laughing.
Well, he ought to know. Oh, it's Wednesday there for you, huh? It's Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday morning, yeah.
Does he do any sewing?
No.
You won't let him touch your machine.
He wouldn't know what to do.
Well, see, that's why he has to be in these webinars.
No.
Well, even when you go to them, sometimes you don't get the gist of it.
Well, thank you, Nancy.
You better leave me alone.
Gloria, why you're now my favorite pupil?
Gloria,
although Beth's
I'm
been very quiet, so.
Gloria, I'm a shut-in, and so I get to be joyful around people on the internet.
Now,
He
I
has
want you to...
V-Carve Pro, and I'm going to have to teach him how to use it.
Well,
A big machine that carves 3D designs out of wood and stuff.
Oh, neat. Okay.
He hasn't even taken it out of the box yet.
Oh, well, tell him we've got all kinds of plans for that machine. He's going to have to make a bunch of stuff and
yeah.
ship it to the U.S. But now
Yeah.
I want you, don't believe Nancy's thing about a shut-in, because I spent, I don't know, 4 days in Chicago with Nancy.
Yeah.
And although I will give Nancy credit, she left the sewing room at a reasonable time. We had women that we locked in the room and went to bed, and they were there the next morning.
And Bernie and I would go outside and
I
smoke
wish I were
cigarettes.
kidding. Yeah, we were like, at 8 o'clock, Nita Elliott and I were like, well, we're going to bed. You know, and we locked them in there and left. And they stayed in there all night and sewed all night. They were charming
You're
the
kidding.
next day. No.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So,
Can't
we
do
had
that
a good time.
anymore.
Yeah, we had fun, though. Now, okay, let's get to big borders since we're pushing 10 o'clock. Okay, ready? I'm going to send you this design, but, oh, wait, before I forget, I want to show you how to scan. Okay, so I'm going to create a new file. I'm not going to save this one because I pulled it in from the EMD. Okay, I do want to show you how to scan real quick, and I'm just going to pick one of my favorite patterns because it'll be your homework.
Have a scan.
No, making this pattern because I'll send it to you, too.
All right, go ahead.
It's one of those big patterns. You know the big patterns on the machine?
Yes.
And you're going to have to, you know, really think about your in and out points on this pattern. But I will show you how to scan. As a matter of fact, you know, I could do like a whole thing. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 patterns on here. I'll give you the one with 4. How's that?
Right. Okay.
And Nancy's going to do all those borders just for me, right?
Absolutely. Just come on.
Hold on, I've just got to get the page. Okay,
I
now.
went to bed this morning at 4 o'clock,
Really?
and I am so
you had to
tired
finish
tonight.
your quilt. Okay. All
I
right.
didn't get to bed till 5:30.
Wow, I'm like beating you guys lately. Usually I'm the one. Okay, we want to go to acquire. Load is going to pull something off your hard drive. Acquire is going to open up your scanner. Okay, it's going to hunt down any Twain device. If you have multiple devices, you know, it might
She's
come
got
up
a good printer too.
Yeah. All right, so I have Epson, I have Canon scanners too. You know, I like them both, but here's my Epson scan software, and I'm impressed with the program because even Photoshop does not access the Epson, you know, the scanner software. And then why that's important is your scanner software always gives you a whole lot more stuff than just the basic scan, okay?
Yep.
So I'll explain some of your settings because they're going to be similar. Mine gives me resolution. My Canon scanner says DPI. Okay, DPI and resolution are the number of colored dots per inch. And right now,
I like about 300.
yeah, somewhere between 150 to 300, depending on the image. But if it's a black and white image, then don't go with 24-bit color. Go with black and white. Okay? And the reason is resolution and DPI. I want you to think in terms of if you're ever doing like cross stitch or, you know, you're doing something automatic or you want to do like the auto trace feature in here, which we'll cover at some point in our webinars. You guys know it, but I need to show Gloria. That DPI is colored dots per inch. And if you really think about, 6 million colors, there's a whole lot of shades of red and gray, and maybe you're scanning something that has, you know, like 6 colors, and you pick like 600 DPI. A, the image is going to be very large. B, that's 600 potential color dots per inch.
You don't want that.
Nope. Think in terms of, it's not quite as drastic as this, but, you know, the more color dots, the higher the resolution, the higher your DPI, the more color dots you're putting in there, and potential thread color changes. Okay, so if you're doing auto trace, you want it to be as simple as possible. This is black and white. It's out of the manual, so I'm going to say black and white. I'm going to leave my resolution at 150. I'm not going to worry about this. Exposure type photo, I might go to document, you know, but most of this you don't have to worry too much about, okay? Do a preview so that you can see what your scanner's going to see.
What are we scanning?
We are scanning a page from the manual. And here is my preview. Okay, now, if you're not getting what you want in black and white, don't panic. It always looks much worse than what it really is. What I want to scan is these. So I'm just going to either drag my little, scan thing around here, or some of them let you adjust, on the sides. I think the Canon scan is similar, like see this little eraser? If I did something like this, or, you're thinking, oh, what the heck, and you go mouse crazy, and you have all these little things, just erase them. Because what happens when I do that is I can potentially be scanning all those things. So I want to kind of target this. This is what I want to scan, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and scan it even though it looks kind of crappy, because looks can be deceiving with the scanner. So I'm going to scan this at 150 DPI, and it's going to bring this into the program. See what I said? Looks can be a little deceiving.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so here's one-on-one.
Well done. Well done.
Now, if that doesn't work, just go back into Image and Load, or, sorry, Image and Acquire. And, this is black and white. If I don't like that, if that's too grainy, then, go to grayscale.
Use grayscale. Yeah.
Use grayscale. See how that perks that right up? Okay, and then scan it in grayscale. Okay, now, I'm showing you this because you can resize this. Here's my 1:1, okay? And I'm going to show you one more thing that you have to think about. So, okay, Image, Acquire, and look on your software and see where it's telling me the size.
Yeah.
Okay, if I want to increase that, I don't have to do the target size original. I can come in here and pick a size, or I can say, you know what, make this like 10 by, now you'd want to kind of stick with that. I forget what it was, 4 originally, so we're at 7. I might want that to be bigger than 2 inches. So maybe we'll go with 7, 7, 7. I added 3, so 5, right? And
Yeah.
here we go. I'm going to scan it, and I set the size.
The sun's out, ladies. We might have a warm day today.
It's dark here, okay? And I didn't, here's my 1:1, okay? See, it kind of scanned. My software does some flaky stuff. I have to.
That's
kind of
much
tell it.
better.
Mm-hmm.
That's much better.
So you can control, how you scan this stuff in. All right, but you always have the option to zoom in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's so. Just play with your scanner settings. In worst case, if nothing works and you know how to scan and you're happy scanning it onto your hard drive, then scan it onto your hard drive and, open it up from load. But, scanning has some advantages. Like when we go in a little bit further into the webinars, we're going to start scanning and using some of the tools in the program to make a design. So I'm going to close this out.
You know I've never done that.
Oh, see, and scanning can be, for the automatic,
Yeah.
if you want to scan something that, really you're going to scan it anyway,
I've got a doily someone wants me to create into a design.
well, so you can scan
Oh.
it. Okay, now
I
I
might
want
send it to you.
I'll be like, well,
Send it to me.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
No, I
Sure.
thought it might be something we could do in the webinar.
oh, yeah, that's
Yes.
true. Well, send me a picture and maybe, I'll look at,
Yeah, I have scanned it, so I'll do
Okay.
that. Yeah.
well, okay, I'm going to go to View and Display Hoop now because I want to show you how to deal with, a large thing. I'm going to go ahead and say large hoop. I'm not picking multiple hoop, and I'll explain why in a minute. Okay, now, here's my large hoop. Go ahead and display it. And, this is, so I know this is the area I need to stay in, right? So, Um, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this like it's a continuous hoop. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, I should have just said file open because I'll have to do that all over again. Or, I'm trying to remember because there was a, I'm like Jello today. All right, anyway, we'll do the hoop thing again. So I'm going to open this. And, okay, now Beth gets to see my messy hard drive. Close your eyes, Beth. I need to get down to that. Okay, so we're going to go open. I know it's in here somewhere, Beth. I'm just being jerky. It's in here somewhere. I'll put it that way. Okay, now Flirty Florals. Here we go. And we'll just go with Jeff. But I need to come down here and tell it what format, or I need to say all design files. If I know that, you know, I'm looking for Jeff, I usually just go pick the Jeff format. Okay, here's my icon preview, right? So I know what I'm getting into. And I can go through all 62 files if I want. Or I can just say, you know what, come up here and just say, show me those medium icons. And here's what happens. Because I didn't save it in ESX, right, I'm still going to get this. I'm just going to have to deal with the preview.
It has thumbnails.
Yeah, that's why I was doing thumbnails. But because they weren't saved.
Oh, it's a different program. Of course, you're using 8 now, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not showing. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, so I'm just going to go back to the list. Okay, since I made these, I kind of know what they are. I'm going to pick, I'll pick the 5x7. That's side B. There's side A. So we're going to start with, side A. And, here's side A. Then I'll go and I'll load my hoop. And there's my large hoop. Okay, so I'm going to pretend, oh, wow, that's really good size. I could open the 6x10. Hold on, I'll open the 6x10. You would think I would be able to make, that assessment. So we'll go ahead and we'll pick by now. But I always forget what size that hoop is. It's always just, 140 by whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, large hoop, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to treat this like it is a continuous border. Even though this is big, right? This is bigger than the design, because ultimately what I want to do is take this file, I'm pasting this on top, and, I want to create a border. Hold on. Let me move this down. So I want to create a border, okay? Let me zoom out so you can see. See what I'm doing? Okay, so if I want to create a bigger border, because, my continuous hoop's actually fairly small, and, sometimes you just want to do a bigger border. I also don't want to have to always fight with the multiple hooping. So, what I can do is very, very simple. If I know where I'm going to put this file, let me go ahead and undo this. Here's my copy, here's the original. It doesn't matter if the copy's all in one color, so I'm going to pick this and turn it all one color. You can even, make it a different color if you want, but, here's my copy. All I have to do is line this up the way I want it lined up. If I want to, reflect it, I can reflect it. Well, maybe I want to do my border something like that, right? Okay? Just so you kind of know what you're doing, but it always helps to, line it up the way you want this border to be made with this little, second section, right? And the reason is we're going to treat this like it is, a continuous hoop, only we don't have that option. So let me zoom in. Okay. Again, look at where this starts, and to see where this is going to start, you're going to have to go to your sequence view. And because you didn't necessarily make this design, you're going to have to think about, let me zoom out all the way. You're going to have to kind of think about this for a second. Where's this design going to start? Here's this section. That's my color, my copy. Okay, here's this section. That's the actual first section, so I'm going to expand it. And, here's, sorry, expanded the wrong color. Here's this section. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see that whole section. Okay, see what I did? This is my, my purple peony kind of thing, right? That's my, section here, just for reference. That's really what I'm using that for. Here is that first section. Where does that start? Go over and show your beads.
You have to hide the green one on the top of it.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I have to hide a bunch of things. And you know what? I don't know if it's going to let me show beads because I didn't stitch process it. Anyway, I'm going to unhide. Okay, what you can do with your border, there's a way to stitch process so you can resize, and I'll show you that in a second too. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to treat this like a continuous design. I'm going to come down, I'm going to use this tool, not the run tool, but this tool. And I don't have to, put these triangles up at the edge here of the hoop like you do with the continuous hoop, right? I'm going to put them where I want this to align. And, you know what, I'm going to go back and stitch process this. Let me get rid of this, and I'll show you why that's important. Sorry about that. Okay, here's this. Let me go back and stitch to outline. There we go. Now my beads are showing up. Okay, stitch to outline converts it to an outline. Sometimes it does some flaky things, but what I want to know is where this is going to start sewing. That's what I need to know. And as stupid as this sounds, if I put my V's at the top thinking I'm going to line this up, it's not going to happen because I need to, drop the needle to align it. It might happen, but then it's going to move down here and start sewing. So why not do this? Pull these, I'm going to close these things. I picked my first little red section so I know where it's going to start, right? And I'm going to hide these sections. Okay, now all I'm dealing with is this. Okay, is this making sense, or am I losing you guys?
I'm lost, but that's okay.
Okay, it's hard to see, but see, okay, here's this piece, and there's a bunch of little pieces, but ultimately, this very first piece right here is what's important, and I'm going to turn my beads on. And then I'm going to zoom in. Okay, see there, first little piece, that is exactly where my first stitch is going to be, even if I can't see it. Like I would have to hide a bunch of these things to really see it, right? But all you have to do is find this piece. Okay? And then you're going to come down here, pick a color, left click off, pick a color that, isn't in your design, like this blue. Do I want to add that? Say no, sorry, come over here, and I guess we'll pick the red, or, it does different things than it used to. Okay, I'm going to pick the red, and I'm going to come over here, and I know that this starts right in here, and I'm just going to make my V, because that's what's going to stitch, last. Okay? So do you see what I did? I made my marker. That's where it's going to, start. And it'll make sense in a second. Hold on. Let me close these up. I want to try to change this to something that isn't in the design. So I think I'll pick... No. Okay. Hold on. All right, so there's my little thing, and let me highlight these all up. Put it yellow. Okay, see my little yellow V? Okay. that's the first marker. That's where we start, right there. Okay, that's where the design starts, right there. And if you're not sure about that, what you can do is click on this, scroll all the way down, hold your control key, click on this, and then use your zoom key in this case because, you know, they're little tiny pieces. Okay, here's my cardinal red. You know, here's this. If I need to, I can move this over, this, you know, yellow piece, right? Make sure you get the yellow piece. And you know what, let me see if I can do it this way. I don't think it's going to show up because it's under there. I have to hide a bunch of these things. Hold on. You have to hide that piece. And probably this piece. We're just hiding these, Gloria, just so you can kind of see. And here's this piece. Okay, it's right there. So now that I know where it is, it's easier to kind of come in and grab this yellow piece and put my arrow right there. Okay, I don't know if this, I'm trying to let me change this to yellow so you can see what's going on too. Okay, see? Okay, that's my very first stitch. So what I want this to do is line up with that very first stitch. Okay, is that making a little more sense now? Okay, don't leave this yellow because then you'll have a color change. Just, you know, take it back to its original color. And let me unhide these pieces. Okay, so that's my very first stitch right here is where it's going to stitch. Okay, I don't have to be perfect. I need to be, you know, close, but there's my marker. My needle should drop right in here. Okay, now what I need to do is find the last stitch. And to find the last stitch, other than the one I made, I come down here to the emerald green, and I come down to here. And my last stitch is right there. So if I want to align these, I could use the paper template, but it's not going to always be perfectly accurate. But if I want to align these, I need to make sure that this is here. It stitches, you know, at the end, or, you know, at the beginning, basically, of each pattern. I'll show you. It's hard to explain if you've never done a continuous hoop, but I'll try to show you on a stitch processor. Okay, and this is going to be my last piece, and that one I can go ahead and change to yellow because it's sitting right on top. See, my last stitch is right there. So that's where it starts, and that's where it ends. Okay, now, what happens on the continuous hoop is I need to line up my stitches, and I use these points. If I know that that's where it's going to start, and that's where it's going to end, then I should be able to use those pieces to align it. I'm trying to think of how to describe this, or what would be a quicker, easier way to do this. You know what? Let's do it this way. Ignore all of that. We're just going to do it this way. We're going to make our own last stitches.
Oh, don't change it again.
Well, I don't really have to change it, okay? This one...
No, I've got that mindset in my head, so...
Well, it's kind of the same concept. I'm going to make my last stitch. I'm going to make my own last stitches, okay? So I'm just going to take this, and, you know, what I need to do is, you know, look at... This is going to have to stitch on top, right? Egads, hold on. This is going to have to make sure, like, my border's going to have to... I need to come down and end at this border so that this aligns properly. Does that make more sense now? So I'm going to make my own stitches. That's probably the easiest way to do that. My very last stitches and where I want this to align. How do I want this to align? And the only way to look at that is to go back to where we were. Sorry. Before I did the stitch processing. Edit, paste, and I'm just going to change it to... we'll make it... Yeah, we'll just make it all green. Okay, so, no coughing. Let me turn off the beats. I'm just messing with you.
No, I'll mute it. I've been having a coughing fit for the last 10 minutes.
You know what, I was there last week. Okay, so see what I've got? Here's my aligning design. You know, how do you want to align these? You know, I'm just going to kind of drag it down, and there you go. Okay, now, if I know that, you know, I'm going to stitch, my design's going to end here, where do I, you know, this is going to have to, this, maybe the better way to do is like this. There. Is that making a little more sense? This has to go on top. So where do I want my last stitch to be?
The very end of that stem.
But where do I want to see where my overlap is? If I put it right at the end of the stem, like if I just put my V here, what'll happen is I'll end up kind of lining it up maybe like this. Okay, so how much overlap do you want to have is kind of the question. And I'm going to try
Why do you have to have an overlap?
Well, if not, you know, you end up with trying to find a color that's not like the first. You end up like this. You don't want to end up like that, right? You want to have like a continuous border, right?
All right, we'll move it over to your right a little bit.
Well, if I wanted to do a continuous border, I need this flower to sit on top of the end of that stem, right?
Right.
Otherwise, you end up with something like that, right? So, okay, so here's where I want my overlap to be. Okay, and you would align this, or you could flip this, or whatever you wanted to do, but this is ultimately the point where that overlap has to be. So I'm going to make my own last stitch, and I'm going to pick a color. You know, I could just pick emerald green, or I could pick canary yellow. I could pick a different color, but I'm going to make, excuse me, my own last stitch. So I'm going to zoom in here where this overlap is, because that's where everything's going to happen. Okay, right in here. So I'm going to come over to here. I'm going to make my stitch. I'm going to make a V. And, you know, you can even use this flower like this, right? Here's my V. Okay, so there's my V. And let me change the color to something that will stand out. We'll make it yellow. Select it and then make it yellow. I always forget that. Okay, so there, it's yellow. Okay, so now I know that that V is in the right spot, right? But I also need a V to align it. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to paste it. And if you recall, it pastes everything at, you know, the top of this, right? But in this case, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to change the color anyway. So let me change this to a green. Okay, so I've got two of these needle positions. Let me go back to 101. Okay, see what I've got? I've got these two V's on top of each other. Okay, that's important because now I'm going to take my little one color segment here, you know, this peony purple right here. Okay, see that the design I made all one color? I'm going to hold my control key and select the yellow, and I'm going to drag this up, and I'm going to align it. Or I could, you know, I could copy a couple of them in, and I'm going to adjust that. And see, I've got the yellow piece up here. Okay, and I've got this peony purple now on top, and I'm going to just get rid of this peony color. Okay, so do you guys see what I have now? I've got, you know, the dark green down here, right? The dark green V down here. Okay, I've got this yellow one up here. And here's how it's going to align. I'm going to take this yellow that's at the top. Well, I guess we're stitching up here, so I'm going to take the green. And I'm going to move the green all the way up to the top. So it's going to now stitch first. Okay, see it's up here? You can see it's down. Okay, it's down here. It's going to stitch absolutely first. Then the whole design's going to stitch, and we're going to come down, you know, and it doesn't matter where this stitches or what order it stitches in. That last stitch is going to be here, right? So what's going to happen is I'm going to select everything just to show you. Okay, this design's going to stitch. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. Maybe. We'll see if it pasted. Yes, it did. Okay. Let me close these all up. And remember, it pastes on top, which actually in this instant kind of helps us. We're going to, you know, you would, of course, not be pasting. I'm going to come all the way down to here. To the canary, oh, yeah, the canary yellow. Okay. So I'm going to select here to here. Just ignore this part because you wouldn't be copy and pasting, but I want to show you what's going to happen. That's going to take, you know, here's my V. It's kind of hiding. Hold on, let me hide this for a second. Okay, it's hiding, so let me hide some of these. You can see what's going on. Okay, see my V down there? Okay. Now I would take my needle, make sure, because that's going to be the first thing that stitches. I'm going to make sure that this V stitches on top of this one. Because what that allows me to do is line these up using that V. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
So you're making your own markers. Now, I use little markers, but, you know, if you're uncomfortable with just those little V's, right, you can use bigger markers.
Which way is that going to stitch?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, which way is that going to stitch?
Let me zoom
Down
out a
from
little bit. Yeah,
from
we're
the
gonna,
stem?
yeah, I think it
From the
starts,
stem down?
it kind of starts, here's my, yeah, it's going to start here. You're going to line it here. You know, your little green section. Actually, you know what? It depends on the design, but I think you're right, I've got this backwards. You would want to start with your canary
Totally
yellow.
confusing me now.
I know. Thanks, Meg.
I feel like Nancy.
All right.
I love
all
you,
right.
Nancy.
Isn't that wonderful?
Okay, let me see. Okay, what if I flip the colors around. Anyway, what you're going to do is, you know, that one's going to stitch first. You know, this is going to be your marker. I'm trying to think how to describe it because this design doesn't start at the beginning. What you need it to do is stitch.
That's just going to be your marker, and then it's going to jump down and start stitching where it's going to start stitching.
Right, you're going to stitch this one first, right? And then it's got to do that green marker at the end. So that this...
And then you've got to take it. Are you not using this in the continuous hook?
Right, it's too big for the continuous hoop.
And so you've got to take it out of the hook
and
and
move
line that up to where that one, and your needle will go right in that V.
Right. It's like the continuous hoop.
This.
Right. If you do the continuous hoop designs first, okay? Sew one of those out, and then this will all make sense.
Yeah.
But what
Use a continuous hook.
Well, no, these are too big for the continuous hoop.
I thought so. I thought so. All right.
You got to do the first part of the lesson, Nancy.
Well, you do the first one, and then you unhook it, and you move your fabric, and you start again.
Right. And if your V's don't line up, don't unhoop. Just use the arrows on your machine and move it over until they line up. Give yourself wiggle room. But if you want to make a bigger border at one time, then this is a good way to do it. Like, hold on, let me find pictures real quick.
That would be pretty on the curtain.
Right, it would be something that, you can do this, you can use the same concept to make, like corners or any type of border, and you can just keep going, okay? It doesn't have to be, I'm trying to find pictures for
I'm
you.
still confused.
Well, hold on. Let me see if I can get
Meg,
into the
you
picture.
know not. I'm not.
If you're confused, what do you think I am?
Yeah, see, Nancy got this. You have to, in order for this to make sense, you have to do the continuous hoop
Oh, no, I
design
understand what
first.
you're doing, but I can't understand how you stitch that one on the top, on top of the screen, and then you come down and start stitching the next
No,
one, because
just ignore
thread
that
would,
part, because this is what, remember
it's the other way
copy's on top.
round.
Right.
Can you change it the other way round? Put it up the top so then we understand what you're doing?
Hold on.
It's not working right.
Oh, well, see, Nancy understood, so.
Yeah, but so we're going to start down here. We're actually going to start at the flower.
With the flower.
And then we're going to finish at the stem.
You're going to finish at the stem. And then,
and
that
then
little...
you're going to move the fabric towards you, and then you're going to start at the flower and finish at the stem.
Right. And
yeah, thank you.
See?
Tell me that one more time.
See, now I've lost
Nancy.
Nancy. See, this is not good. Now I've lost Nancy. Okay, ready?
They're putting a pool in down the street. Can you hear that truck?
No.
Beep, beep, beep. Oh.
Okay.
All I can hear is my pillow calling me.
Oh.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, that's right, because you're up to 4. Okay, this is what I'm talking about with these. I'm going to send you a couple
lovely.
of these.
Hey, they're pretty.
Are you going to send these to us?
I'm going to send you one set of these, okay, like one group.
I think you need to send us
I
all
like that
two.
one. No, I like the one in the middle with the blue and the yellow.
Oh,
that's,
yes. Bernie,
Okay.
send us a whole
pretty.
page.
Now, this is your homework. Ready? Besides the continuous border, this piece and this piece are 2 separate pieces.
Ah.
So with this, you can do the same thing, or you can make a corner, you can make a border, okay? And if you wanted to continue to make a border, like you need this flower separate, right? See the corner? You're going to mirror and rotate, and you're going to have to be able to line these up, and the easier way than using your paper templates all the time is to put those markers.
Templates.
Well, to use the markers, because the continuous hoop doesn't always do what you want it to do when you get to a certain size, right? Or or the multiple hooping. You can't always get what you want on multiple hooping, because it doesn't do exactly double. You know what I mean? So I'll send you guys, okay, vote. Beth, you're quiet, and Gloria, you're quiet. You guys want the blue ones, the yellow
is Beth
ones?
here? Hey, Beth.
I can run. Oh, yeah. I'm here.
Okay.
It's so different to me, whichever.
Well, pick a color. Pick a color. Which ones you guys want?
Pick which one everybody likes. I like them all. They're all nice. Scroll down so we can see what's left. Yeah.
Okay, there's
You
pink
know I
ones.
want them all, so you all pick what you want.
Which
Yeah,
is the
but you're not
easiest
allowed to
do?
share designs.
Let's do it that way.
Well, these are mine, so I'm allowed to give these to you. So.
Well,
okay.
send them on.
That's okay.
Since they're yours, I'll buy them from you. How much are
Which
they?
would be the easiest?
Okay,
Bernie.
I'll pick which ones I want to send you guys. How's that?
All right.
Yeah, okay. We'll leave it up to you.
But I want you to seriously, try to, make those markers, and get a corner, get a border, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll be the first one to send my work in.
well, you're gonna have to take a picture of these, because these are, by the time you're done, they end up being a pretty good sized border. As a matter of fact, I'll give you like some serious homework. How's that? Because you have time to do this.
I don't.
You do, Meg.
I don't. I've got so many sewing projects. My niece, I've got to do a full set of towels for a wedding because she got married on the 5th of March.
And you haven't sent. Oh, here it is.
No, I gave her some money as well. But my other niece's birthday this week, so I've got to see her, and I've got to go to the eye specialist on Friday.
You could But
you know what I
two
did
birds with
do?
one stone.
Yeah, I could. But it's
Do
the
you
other
want me
niece.
to do it for you, Meg?
No, that's okay. But
Are
you
you
know,
sure it'll be lovely?
I
Well-
have to tell you, Bernie, I'm going to blow my own trumpet here. You know that beautiful big owl design on Embroidery Library, the one where it's big whole scenery and it's a huge design?
I'll have to
Do
go
you remember
look.
that one? Yeah, there's a beautiful owl embroidery. It's a huge design for a big hoop. I actually split that multiple hoop for someone. And it's
Ah, good
stitched out.
job.
It's
Oh,
stitched
here's what I
out
wanna show you.
absolutely perfectly. So I sort of know where I'm going, but yeah, it's just I've got so much sewing to do, and I just don't get downstairs to do it because of Mum.
Isn't that?
Mostly because of Mum. Oh, I like that. That's pretty.
Okay, now this is your
I know what
homework.
you're going through, Megan. My mother-in-law has Alzheimer's.
Well, every time I
I
go
know
downstairs,
exactly.
she starts looking for me, so it, drives me
Yeah,
nuts.
well, she's in a nursing home with my father and sister living, but I know exactly what you're going through. My husband can relate to you.
Yeah.
My grandfather, he didn't have Alzheimer's, but he had onset dementia.
Yeah, Mum's got both.
Yeah, he was.
Well, do you have help, Megan?
No, don't. Only Ray.
Oh, I'm coming to Australia and help you.
Oh, I wish you would.
Oh, I would love to.
All right,
I
ladies,
took care of
I'm gonna stop recording.